Welcome everyone, I'm here today, Miss Heather, to read you a story. It's called Baby Brains by Simon James. And at the bottom it says, the smartest baby in the whole world. So let's learn about the smartest baby in the whole world. This should be very exciting. Baby Brains. In the months before Baby Brains was born, Mrs. Brains was very busy. She read out loud every night to the baby inside her tummy. She played music and languages on headphones to her baby during the day. Mr. and Mrs. Brains wanted to make sure their baby was going to be very smart. They even turned up the television when the news came on. Mr. and Mrs. Brains were very excited when their baby was born. It was a boy. Our very own Baby Brains, said Mr. Brains proudly. When they brought him home from the hospital, Mrs. Brains laid him down in the brand new crib. Sleep tight, Baby Brains, she whispered. The next morning, Mrs. Brains was on her way to get breakfast when she heard some strange noises in the living room. Mrs. Brains opened the door to see her baby sitting on the sofa reading the morning paper. Do you think brand new babies can read the morning paper? That's crazy. By afternoon, Baby Brains was fixing the car. We certainly have a bright one here, said Mr. Brains. That evening, Baby Brains spoke his first words. I'd like to go to school tomorrow, he said. Oh my goodness, they're going to have a handful. Oh, look at them in class. The next day, Baby Brains visited the local school. He sat down with the children and answered all the questions. The children were amazed. At the end of the afternoon, the teacher thanked Baby Brains. I don't think I've ever learned so much in one day, she said. The teacher learned from Baby Brains. On the way home, Baby Brains said he wanted to go to college and study medicine. Of course he does. He's just a few days old. After just 2 weeks, Baby Brains began working as a doctor at the local hospital. He was very popular with all the staff and patients. Look at his stethoscope, and then look at his little ladder. Word soon spread about the extraordinary Baby Brains. Everyone wanted to meet him. This is his newspaper article. One night, some space scientists called. They asked if Baby Brains would like to help with their next space mission. Look, Baby Brains is on the phone with them. Mom and Dad are like, The following day, Mr. and Mrs. Brains and their baby traveled to the Space Center. After training hard over the weekend, he only had to train for a weekend, Baby Brains waved goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Brains and blasted off into outer space. Look at his tiny little hand. Everyone in the world held their breath as they watched Baby Brains take his first spacewalk. Tell us how you feel on this special occasion, radioed ground control. Baby Brains looked up at the vast starlit sky above him. He looked down at the vast starlit sky below him. He looked at the whole world in front of him and mumbled something. We can't quite hear you, radioed ground control. Could you repeat that? Uh-oh. I want my mommy, wailed Baby Brains. That's enough, Mrs. Brains yelled to the space controller. Bring my baby home right now. He wants to be old, but he still needs his mom. Baby Brains was flown home as quickly as possible. He felt very embarrassed as he stepped down from the hatch. But through the crowd of photographers and cameramen, Mrs. Brains came running. Look at him. Oh. Our beautiful little baby, sighed Mrs. Brains as she lifted him high into the air. Our brave little baby, said Mr. Brains. Can we go home? Asked Baby Brains. At home, Mrs. Brains gave Baby Brains a warm bath, which made him feel a lot better. Mr. Brains tickled him, which made him laugh. Everybody likes to be tickled when it's for fun. And Mrs. Brains sang Baby Brains to sleep. Then they gently laid him down in the brand new crib. It was good to have their baby home again. Our very own Baby Brains, whispered Mrs. Brains. From that day on, Baby Brains spent most of his time at home doing the things that most babies do. Except, that is, on weekends. What do you think he does on weekends? When he still liked to help out at the local hospital. The end. So I'm sitting there, it says the end, he's on a computer. Of course, because he's Baby Brains. And he's doing surgery right here on somebody. Oh, what a cute story. And that just goes to show us that we all want to grow up so fast and do so many things. Sometimes it's okay to want your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa and just be a kid for a while and enjoy that too. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again real soon. Mwah!